Ladies and gentlemen, it is that time of the year once again. That's right. Little ghouls, goblins, and ghosts are roaming the streets. The moon is high above. Little kids are asking for treats on this special day. That's right. It is Halloween, ladies and gentlemen. And I have a case for you. The location was Horicon, Wisconsin. The date ranged between April 13th, 1986 and January 11th, 1988. A family bought a normal looking bunk bed, but little did they realize that buying this bunk bed, I'm going to leave that one and that's not going to be an outtake. Anyway, little did they know that buying this bunk bed was going to prove very costly because apparently this bunk bed was horribly haunted. That's right. They bought a haunted bunk bed. And oh my god, the ghost harassed this family to no end, ladies and gentlemen. We had it all in this video. Or this case, I should say. We had all in this case. We had haunted radio that was possessed. We had witches. We had fog. We had a father who was losing his mind, ladies and gentlemen. And to top it all off, we had one of the earliest examples of early CGI. That's right, we had early CGI. This is a case that a lot of people, myself included, really love. To me, this is one of the top two ghost cases for Unsolved Mysteries. This goes right along with the St. James Hotel, which you will also see, today. So, ladies and gentlemen, as the sun starts to set, as that chill starts to fill the air, before the kids start really flooding to the streets to come to your house, kick back, pick up a soda, and let's get ready to watch one of the best cases ever produced on Unsolved Mysteries. This is the Tallman House. I am so excited to finally be covering this case. I love this case. I've covered this case in various formats over the years. It's actually one of my more popular videos that I covered on YouTube back when I was doing the final thought and all that, So this is a case I really love. Now, just for reference, just so everybody knows, I am using the version that was on the Unsolved Mysteries DVD box set. They released a box set in the early 2000s. I am using that version because it's basically it's kind of like the best, I guess you could really say. They have some versions of this case on YouTube. However, the quality isn't exactly the best. And, they don't have it on the official YouTube channel. So basically, I kind of had to go with the DVD. Even though it's not perfect, it's kind of the best, the lesser of all the evils, I guess you could say. Okay, so let's get the headphones on. Ready. I am excited. I'm very excited to finally get to do this case again. I should make this like a yearly tradition or something, okay, but anyway. Okay, so let's turn it on. 3, 2, 1.
In early February of 1987, Alan and Debbie Tallman brought home a bunk bed they had purchased at a second-hand furniture shop.
You got that, partner?
The one question I've always had when I watch this case, it doesn't matter if it was like the very first time I'm watching this case or right now with all of you awesome people. It does not matter. The one question I have is, why did they initially set up the bunk bed in the basement of the house? You would think that they would want to just, they brought it home, that they would just set it up in the room that it planned on being in. Instead, what do? They fully assemble this bunk bed. Now, this bunk bed, when it came to their house, it wasn't already assembled. It was in pieces. They had to take everything downstairs, assemble it stairs, as you can see in the video. They then, had to deassemble it or disassemble it, and then take it right back upstairs. Why go through those extra steps, ladies and gentlemen, if you know it's going to be upstairs already? Why take it downstairs, do all that work, only to undo all that work, and then take it back upstairs? It's just
assembled the bed and stored it in their basement.
That's why the bunk bed was haunted. It didn't like the fact that it was being used in storage. It's like, no, I'm a nice bunk bed. I want to be upstairs. God dang it.
When the bunk bed was moved upstairs, it marked the beginning of 9 months of horror for the Tallmans. From the moment the bed was first slept in, the house appeared to be haunted by spirits that terrorized first the children, then the entire family.
You're getting so big for Daddy.
I was afraid for my life. I also was very afraid for my family. I had visions of coming home from work and actually seeing my family destroyed, brutally murdered or just laying there dead.
The house where the Tallmans lived had no known history of hauntings, and the Tallmans had never in their lives given ghosts a second thought. They are regular churchgoers.
This is one thing that I always kind of chuckle at. I kind of chuckle at the fact that because these people were church-going individuals, that ghosts would never be an issue for them. That always kind of just... It sounds like that they're kind of stigmatizing the people who actually have ghost encounters. It's like, oh, only people who are like non-church going, destitute losers are the type of people that would see ghosts or UFOs. The good people are people that go to church, the people that, do all the good stuff. They would never see ghosts. It's like, dude, anybody can see a ghost.
Debbie is a housewife and mother, and Alan is shift supervisor in a manufacturing plant.
Clearly, they would never see ghosts. It's weird that they would see ghosts, right? Right.
They are credible and responsible citizens, but their paranormal experiences have left them deeply scarred. They ask that actors portray them in this story and that their children's real names not be used. The Tallmans feel they were in a battle with forces they do not understand, a battle they were destined to lose.
That's when you get like a gallon of holy water and you just spray the shit out of that bunk bed. No. It's like getting rid of roaches. No. Get out.
Horicon, Wisconsin is a small farming town of 3,800 people. It is a safe and prosperous place, hardly the spot one would expect.
Oh my God, I don't know what it is, but the music that you're hearing right now, it seems to go so perfectly with this case. I'm not sure if this music was actually, when it was created, this was the initial case that this music was used with, or if it was used with other cases in Unsolved Mysteries prior to the Tallman House, because they do have a history of recycling some of their music. But this music right here for this case, it just seems to fit so perfectly. I love it.
Expect to have a terrifying encounter with the supernatural. All the scenes that we recreated were filmed in this house, the very place where the Tallmans had their uncanny meeting with the world of spirits.
Oh my God, that's the same image I'm using right here.
The Tallman family moved into the house on April 13th, 1986.
Well, yeah, it was our dream house because, it was something that we figured we were going to be there for a long time, and it was a dream house.
Are you feeling any better?
Within weeks, the Tallman children, who had rarely been sick, began to fall ill.
Right then, if I had, as many children as the Tallman, as Alan and Debbie Tallman have, and they were all getting sick, I would start to be really concerned. I'm like, okay, what's causing this? First, I'll be honest, I would look at like external factors, like, is there something wrong with the house? Is there mold? Is there lead in the paint? And then as the check marks started, going off and off, then I started thinking, okay, maybe it could be a haunting issue or something.
Put that in there just a little bit longer, honey.
After we moved into the house, it seemed like our children were sick all the time. We had them into the doctor's office. Sometimes I would have all three of them in a week.
In late May of 1987, Debbie and Alan moved the bunk bed they had bought upstairs.
This goes back to what I originally said. It's like, why keep the bunk bed down in the basement for that long? You know, if they didn't want to use it, why did they even buy it at that point? It's not like bunk beds are extremely rare. You know, you can literally, it's like, okay, well, we're going to buy a bunk bed, but we're not going to use it for 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, 20, 30, 40 years. You know, who knows? Why save yourself? Why not just save yourself the trouble and wait to buy the bunk bed until you're actually ready to use it? It's like buying a car and be like, okay, I bought this car, but I'm not going to use it for a year. I'm just going to put it in the garage, and yeah.
That night, the Tallman son, Danny, was sleeping in the room next door to the bunk bed.
Fishing, okay? Good. Have a good night.
Okay.
The bedrooms had been rearranged, and Danny had inherited his parents' old clock radio.
Okay, get ready, ladies and gentlemen. Here comes the first symptom of, or the first sign of the haunting. We have the haunted radio.
On this night, the radio seemed to take on a life of its own.
Okay, right then and there, I'd be like, okay, I'm getting the fuck out of here. I'm out. Get me the fuck out of here.
My son,
My dad, he actually had 2 types of radios that I remember, you know, when I was really young. This was actually one of those type of radios. And conveniently enough, if I remember correctly, I think he actually got it from his mom and dad. I don't know what it is, but it just seems like some items from the 1980s are, they are just like a mainstay. They are just a mainstay.
he came running out in the living room, and he says, but Mom and Dad, he says, I seen it, the dial moved. He said the indicator went from one side to the radio to the other. And we kind of looked at each other and says, well, if you're going to have a fit with the radio and cause this kind of ruckus, we'll just take the radio out.
Dude, your kid is trying to tell you, hey, Dad, something is wrong. This radio, it has a mind of its own. If it had a head, it would be doing like a 360 or something, you know? And the first thing the dad says is like, okay, well, if you're going to have issues with the radio, we're just going to take it out. Oh, God.
You know, because that stuff just does not happen.
Because we're church-going people, and that stuff never happens.
A few weeks later, Alan Tallman himself had an experience he could not explain.
Oh, I forgot to mention also one of the signs of the haunting in this case was the mysterious upside-down paintbrush in the paint can.
He was busy painting the walls in his basement, but decided to take a break.
My wife called me up for dinner, so I just laid the brush, and I was going to return after I ate my lunch. And after dinner time was over, I went down.
Okay, so first it was going to be, he was going to go down after eating his lunch, and then it was dinner time. So it isn't like that was just like 30, 40 minutes had passed. No, it had to have been at least 2 or 3 or 4 hours.
Stairs, down cellar. And the brush was in the paint pail with the bristles sticking up right in the paint pail.
Well, I can explain this. The ghost was simply wanting David to remember, hey, you left your paint open. If you continue to not paint, your paint's going to dry out. This is what it was. The ghost was just trying to give a friendly warning, you know, like proper paint etiquette, ladies and gentlemen.
I figured there was something strange why this happened, why the brush got into the paint pail, but I wouldn't accept that my house was haunted.
Go with eyes.
The Tallman's 2-year-old daughter was sleeping in the bunk bed. She began to see things in her room.
At one time, my daughter had talked about a witch behind her door, and the fire. A lot of it was fire, and we had never mentioned it to our son at all. And then I'd say probably about a month later, he had said, "Mom, I saw an old lady standing by my door."
Okay, seriously, who the hell did this bunk bed piss off to get this kind of this kind of punishment? You know, these kids are seeing everything. They're seeing radios being messed with. The father had his paintbrush turned upside down, put in the paint can. Now they're seeing witches. And trust me, it gets even worse from here, ladies and gentlemen.
And he said that she glowed like fire. At this point, I began to think that our house was probably haunted.
Sit down and let's talk all this out here.
The Tallmans were desperate. They turned to their family pastor. He felt the presence of evil in the house and thought they might be the victims of the devil.
Now you got to remember, the reason that they brought up the whole devil aspect right there is because this was during Satanic Panic, and everything that could not be explained or that people just did not really want to investigate was labeled as Satanism, because that was the thing to do back in the 80s.
I'd known them about a year and a half when they called me to come and visit with them about what was going on in the house.
Is this normal? I mean,
I believe that my initial analysis of the entity being in the spiritual realm, the occult realm, the demonic, if you will, was accurate, and I still believe it's accurate.
The Tallmans claim they never had a moment's peace. Doors banged open and shut. Strange voices called to them.
Mom?
The visions persisted. The children were terrorized.
Mom! I don't want
The week before Christmas, Danny once again saw something that horrified him.
It's okay. Nobody's here. You're okay.
They should have realized that when their kids are, being affected like this, they should have really decided, you know what, let's just move out of the house, and they should have also realized, hey, this didn't start until we brought that bunk bed in. Now, granted, they do kind of figure it out at the end of this case, which you will see, but the fact that they were just so willing to kind of put their kids' well-being, they were not really that attentive, I guess you could really say.
Alan had reached his breaking point. He totally lost control and challenged the entity.
Big mistake. Big mistake. You don't, there's like three generalization, or not generals. There are 3 rules. There are 3 rules that you should always abide by. Rule number 1, you pay your taxes. You pay your taxes. You can fuck with almost anybody, but you don't want to fuck with the IRS. Rule number 2, do not get in between a fat man and the buffet. We like to eat. And rule number 3, you don't challenge a ghost. You don't challenge a ghost. The moment you start challenging a ghost, they're like, okay, let's do this. Let's see how we can fuck with this guy. And boy, do they fuck with this guy.
I was like a wild man running around in my house, and I couldn't get no control.
Imagine if the mother-in-law just happened to have stopped by at that exact moment. Honey, I don't think you married the right man.
Over it.
Come out of there! Show yourself to me!
I started yelling on the top of my voice. I said, "What's ever in our house, would you please leave my children alone? And if you want to fight with me."
Big mistake, dude. You challenge a ghost. That's not going to end well. The 2 main reasons why. Well, you can't really see a ghost, and ghosts play dirty. They play dirty. They're like the dirtiest fighters of the paranormal realm. They are dirty fighters. Very, very fucking dirty. Oh my god, that oh my god. I get goosebumps down my spine when I hear that theme. Oh my god. Oh my god.
3 weeks later, on January the 7th, Alan Tallman returned home from working the late shift around 2 a.m. Outside the garage, he heard an eerie, howling sound. He went to investigate.
It started out real soft and then it got real loud. It was a real strong howling of wind, but it was quiet outside. And a voice came out of the howling and it says, "Come here."
Okay, I'm getting the fuck out of here. If you're hearing howling and the wind is picking up and you hear a voice that goes, "Come here," I'm like the other way. I'm like, oh. I'll let you do what you're doing over there, and I'm going to go over there.
I ran around the sides of the house looking to see if anybody was there.
Hello?
And
Oh my God, I love that actor when he said that. Hello? Oh God, that actor was perfect for this role.
I couldn't see nothing. So I went back to the house steps and the vacuum of the wind started up again. It started out real soft and it got real loud.
Keep in mind, this happened because he challenged the ghosts. The ghosts are playing dirty at this point right now.
And the voice said, "Come here," and it just kept on saying, "Come here."
Nope.
Come here.
Nope. I'm not. No. Nope.
Here, and I focused onto the garage door, and I seen a glow.
I'm going to turn off the filter really quick. If you're wondering why I have to have a filter on, it's copyright issues. You got to kind of transform it enough to not trigger the algorithm, basically, or whatever it's called. Look at this awesome example of mid 80s CGI. Look at this. I think it's CGI. It could be. I don't fucking know. I'm not a visual specialist. I'm not. But I know something's cool when I see it. This is cool. Like it's so bad it's cool. That's what it is. It's so bad it's cool. What I think that they did was, and it's most likely what they did was that they took like they did like a video of like a fire. And then they like overlaid it onto the garage because you know that's not even realistic looking. That is not realistic looking. I think they just merged two videos into one. That's what I think they did. It could have been CGI. I don't know. I don't know at all. Okay, let's turn this back on. There we go.
And I run.
And I ran. I run so far away.
I got scared and I ran. And I ran to the house and I opened the door and I set my lunch pail on the floor.
My dad had that exact same type of lunchbox. Inside that lunchbox, he had I think it was a Stanley thermos. It was like green in color with a little gray screw top. It had like a gray cup that would screw on top of that. It was pure 80s, ladies and gentlemen.
I locked the door and I stood there for a brief couple of seconds and I says, "Oh my God, my garage is on fire." And I ran back out on the porch and I looked towards the garage.
And I told you, dude, you do not fuck with the ghosts. They don't like it. The ghosts are like trolls of the internet. If you ignore them, they'll go away. The only difference is, like, with ghosts, like, kids cannot really ignore them. But if it was just like two adults living in that house and you ignored it, odds are the ghost would be like, "Fine. You don't want to play with me? I'm not going to play with you." And then the ghost would leave.
There was nothing. The garage was just as normal as when I came home from work. So I quick went back in the house and I closed the door and deadbolted the door and locked the door. After I had the door locked, I reached down to pick up my lunch pail.
The ghost is like, "You remember that time you challenged me? Well, guess what, mother?" Guess what, motherfucker? It's payback time. Here's the receipt.
And this thing, this turtle,
Oh, God. This is one pissed off ghost, ladies and gentlemen. Number one, you ignored it when you brought the bunk bed down into the basement. It was lonely. The ghost was lonely. Number two, you then finally paid it attention by moving it upstairs. And then number three, you challenged the ghost to you challenged him. Challenging a ghost is like getting between, once again, a fat guy at the buffet. You don't want to do that. You just don't.
right through the living room.
He came home that night and he was just running around the room. I mean, literally running. He ran in the bedroom, ran around the bed, ran over to the dresser, threw his keys up on the dresser. I've never seen him like that.
Damn, Red Bull really does give you wings. Oh God, I was trying to sound funny when I said that, but I ended up flubbing Red Bull gives you wings, apparently.
Before.
Alan Tallman began sleeping on the floor of his daughter's room each night. The girls were traumatized and needed help falling asleep.
I started to see this fog.
Okay, they just said that the girls were traumatized. They were traumatized and they were still staying in that house. Why not allow the kids to go stay with a family? I'm pretty sure they had family in Horicon, Wisconsin. You're telling me that you know your kids that they are having difficulties to the point you have to sleep on the floor of their bedroom, and yet you still don't want to do anything. I'm sure they love their kids. I'm sure they love their kids. But at a certain point, really, you got to start questioning the parents if they know this shit is going on and they don't do anything about it. I'm not saying, totally moving out is the answer. Yeah. But the fact is, they just said the kids were traumatized. Why not let the kids stay with family for a little bit, or something?
Fog starting to appear on the floor, and a voice came out of it, and it says, "You're dead."
When he came out of the bedroom, he wouldn't talk to me. His lips were blue. He was just...
Well, because he's probably hypothermic. Let the guy warm up, then he'll talk.
He was so white, I tried to get him to tell me what happened, but all he did was stand there, and tears were running out of his eyes. And so I went to the phone, and I called the pastor, and I said, "You've got to come over here." I said, "Something happened, and Alan's crying." I said, "And he won't tell me what happened."
When I arrived, Alan was very frightened. He was shaking. He was visibly shaken at what he had seen. Alan gave me no indication at all that he was in any way fabricating what he was telling me. And my sense of that was heightened by the fact that I've been with people before who had described things similar to what Alan was describing. And his fear and terror at what he had seen was very similar to what I had seen before.
I'm wondering now. I'm actually wondering if maybe what is going on in Horicon, Wisconsin. What if it's unique to that area, but it's not just tied to one house? Maybe there's say a coven of witches or whatever, that lived in Horicon, Wisconsin, and basically they kind of, they cursed the area because the priest said that he dealt with things that sounded exactly what David Tallman or Dan Tallman, whatever his name, the father, basically, the father told him. What if there was something more or larger going on, I guess you could say.
A few days later, Alan was working late. He asked a relative of his to watch over the two girls until they fell asleep.
Okay, just if you have I'm giving you a friendly warning right now. Because I got headphones on. I'm going to have to hear this. Make sure your volume is low. Because we're about to hear a guy scream in decibels you would not think it possible for a guy. I'm just saying it. Get ready.
Alan's relative was a complete skeptic. That night, he changed his mind. The same specter appeared.
Oh my God. Oh, that screaming. Holy shit. What can you imagine what he had to have seen to be able to scream like that? You know, like guys normally don't scream like that. You have to like grab our balls and twist to get us to scream like that. This guy had to have seen something that made him shit his pants.
What is it?
The relative came out of the bedroom, and I said, "What happened?" And he was scared. I said, "Where's the baby?" He goes, "Back in the bedroom." I said, "Get her." I said, "We are leaving this house." I said, "I am never coming back to this house." I said, "I don't care." I said, "I have had it. I can't handle this no more."
That night, Debbie fled from the house she had thought would be her dream home.
Hurry up! Run!
2 weeks after they fled their home, Alan and Debbie Tallman had the bunk bed destroyed.
Okay, so clearly they like the rest of us, they kind of realized that the bunk bed was the reason for the haunting. That, you know, why wait until this long to destroy the bunk bed? You know, I personally think that, you know, the bunk bed was causing the haunting. By destroying the bunk bed or getting out of the house, hopefully the hauntings would end. Why not just move back in then? Or have somebody stay in the house after the bunk bed was destroyed. Have them stay there for a few months until we could determine that the ghosts are indeed gone. Yeah.
After we left the house, everybody asked us, "Can this follow you?" I never thought it could happen the first time. So I don't know if this is the end of the story.
The Tallmans have moved to another city now, and so far they've experienced no paranormal phenomena. A new family moved into the Tallmans' house last April, and they've had no problems. Perhaps in the world of spirits, as well as in the world of human beings, it is possible simply to be in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Okay, so that was the case of the Tallman House. One of my most favorite cases of Unsolved Mysteries. And you know, you can see why a lot of people are so fond of this case. This is, you know, this is actually a pretty scary case. Yeah, I was making jokes here and there, but let's not get that confused with the fact that this was actually a pretty dark case, you know, ladies and gentlemen. But anyway, let's get to that Unsolved Mysteries wiki and find out what they have to say, shall we? Okay, so let's do this, and then I'll do this, and then I'll do this. Aha! Wow, I got that perfect on the first attempt, ladies and gentlemen. First attempt. You should be proud of me. I didn't fumble around. I didn't fumble. Anyway. Let's see here. Let's see here. Oh God, Tallman House Unsolved Mysteries wiki. Okay. And okay, come on, stupid pop. There it goes. Thank you. Okay, here I'm just going to do this really quick so I can see what I'm doing. Boom. Okay. If you're new to this series that I love to do, this is basically where I go to the Unsolved Mysteries wiki, and I will read the last part of the updates to wow, talk about pop-ups. Okay, anyway. I will go to the Unsolved Mysteries wiki and check out the last part of the updates to see if there's been anything new, because a lot of the updates that they have here are based on what the show already said. So, you know, but anyway. Are you ready? Hope you are. Tallman House. The case file was Tallman House. The location was Horicon, Wisconsin. The date ranged from April 13th, 1986 to January 11th, 1988. The description: Horicon, Wisconsin is a small farming town of 3,800 people. Ooh, wow. Okay, okay, hold on. There. I want to get a tab ready because I want to see exactly how many people. Actually, let's do it right now. Horicon. Is it maybe what are Wisconsin population? Now they said 38. Wow, it's actually gone down. I'm always kind of shocked when I do research like this. You know, it's like, oh, I wonder, because it's been over 20 years. It's been almost 40 years, ladies and gentlemen. I would expect there to be like an uptick, like more people moving in, because you know, as time advances, you know, that people, you know, time changes and everything. It always seems to be so just so kind of shocking to hear that, you know, that as of 2020 it actually went down. It went down. Let's see here. What does the wiki have to say? Let's see here. Well, that's not what I was hoping it would be. There we go. Okay, so did they have a 2025 or later? I mean, like, nope, only. Wow, it really seems to have kind of peaked. Let's see. In the 80s it was, or 1980 it was 3,584. In 1990 it really seems to have peaked at 3,873. And then ever since then it's been kind of on a downward slope. Whereas, however, there was a little bit of an uptick in 2020 from 2010. I'm shocked. I thought that there would have been a lot more people there, but hey, you know. Anyway, it is about 40 miles from Madison, Wisconsin. It is described as a safe and prosperous place. It is known for being a stopover on the Mississippi Flyway, a migratory route for birds. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, we already know, you know, the history. Let's see here. Wow, there's a lot of stuff here. Okay, background. The Tallman House is a 3-bedroom ranch built in 1984. Its previous owners lived there for 18 months. It had a market value of $50,400, and it is in a subdivision of 10 homes on South Larrabee Street on the south side of Horicon. You're telling me that if I was this old right now, back in 1984, I could have actually afforded this house. I could have afforded this house, and ooh, that would, oh man. How much times have changed, ladies and gentlemen? You can't find a house for this cheap anymore. Okay, we already know the investigation. Let's see here. Okay, extra notes. This case first aired on the October 26, 1988 Halloween episode of Unsolved Mysteries, along with the Queen Mary, the General Wayne Inn, and the Tallman House. It was excluded from the film rights release of Robert Stack episodes. However, it was included on the show's Ghost DVD, and that's what that's where I got it from. It is considered one of the most frightening and well-known paranormal cases of the series. Hell yeah. It was described in greater detail in the book Haunted America by Michael Norman and Beth Scott. It was also featured on A Current Affair. It is not to be confused with the Lincoln Tallman House. I never heard of that one. Let's see. The Tallmans requested that they be filmed in silhouette and the actors portray them, and their children's real names were not used. The reenactments were filmed in the Tallmans' former house with the new owner's permission. Horicon Mayor did not allow Chief Glamon to be interviewed for the Okay, this could be due to something, you know, that I did not read, you know, earlier on this website. Although it is kind of weird that the mayor would actually have the power to tell somebody, no, you cannot talk about something. I'll be like, fuck you. You know, what I do on my off time is my right, you know, as long as I'm not breaking any laws. You can't tell me what I can and cannot do on my off time. Anyway, some sources spell the Tallman's house as Tallman with 2 L's, 2 N's, and Debbie's name is Debbie, and state that the Tallman bought the house in November '86. Debbie witnessed radio dial move on his own. Alan was putting the children to bed when the paintbrush ended up in the paint bucket. The fire happened the day after Alan challenged the entity. Yeah, you don't fucking challenge him. Anyway, the fire occurred at 1 a.m. The entity had red eyes, and Jonathan was Alan's nephew. Results unsolved. Hold on 1 second. I gotta get a drink. Unsolved. In January 1989, Chief Gladman stated he became somewhat skeptical of the Tallman's story after they allowed Unsolved Mysteries to feature it. He believed they received money for appearing on the show. He also heard that they had sold their story to Michael Norman, who later wrote Haunted America, which featured their story. In 1994, the Tallmans reported that their lives had improved after leaving HorrorCon and that they had experienced no hauntings since then. See, do we have anything down here? There are a lot of links, but normally what I look for is like somebody's passed away or something, and it doesn't look like we have anything like that. So hopefully, by the sounds of it, hopefully the Tallman family, that, you know, wherever they are, hopefully that they are, you know, resting and that they are, you know, happy and everything. Oh, gosh. What a case. What a case. I am glad to finally be able to cover this case once again. I love the case of the Tallman House. It is, you know, one of the scariest cases that Unsolved Mysteries has ever put together. I love the music. I just, everything about this case really showed what the producers of Unsolved Mysteries could put together if they were running on all cylinders. Okay, everybody, that is it. That is the end of this video. I hope you have enjoyed it. I sincerely am grateful for each and every one of you who takes the time out of your day to watch these cases. Did you ever see this case on Unsolved Mysteries when it was being televised on television? Do you have the box set? How did you actually come across the case of the Tallman House? Leave your thoughts in the comments section below, and I will see you next time. My name is Jeff, aka GCurse, wishing you all a great day, and stay safe, everybody. Peace out.